Hi friends, welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to my live stream, which is, by the way, my first live stream ever in my life. So it's a kind of weird, not to see the eyes of the audience, not to receive the immediate feedback. So I would like to ask you for your help and for your support. I cannot see you, I cannot hear you, but I can read you. So please feel free to leave your comments, your questions in the chat area on the right side of the screen so that I don't feel so lonely. Also, I would like to comment that my internet connection is not always very stable, so there can happen some accidents. So just be aware if the internet goes slow a little bit or if there can happen any interruptions, but let's hope that everything is going to be fine and let's keep our fingers crossed. Again, I'm very excited to start this chat with you, and I'm sure that we will have a good time together. So why did I decide to organize this live stream? Actually, there are two main reasons. The first one is quite obvious. Many people are staying at home now. I would say that most people, I guess. And some may feel bored, some may feel lonely. So I was thinking it's a good idea to get together online, to socialize, to get to know each other better. And I think that it's easier to catch you guys now at home, because on Saturday, I guess that many of you would be riding somewhere. And another reason is that, well, I've been on the road for so long, actually for quite a few years. And I understand that some of my followers started to follow me not from the very beginning, but later on or just recently. So I guess that they may have some questions, maybe some basic questions that my long-term followers already know. But I think it would be a good idea to introduce myself again and just to give some of my background and kind of full story, just to make it easier for my new followers. And I hope that my older followers will find something interesting for themselves too. And of course, please feel free to write your questions, as I mentioned in the chat. And I have also many of them in my notes already. So I'll try to go through them as many as possible as our live stream time allows us. I think it's about 1 hour, right? So I'll try to answer as many questions as possible. I promise you that I don't have any secrets or any taboo topics. So I will comment on, I think on everything. So probably I'll start with the most relevant question. Where am I now? How is that virus situation affecting me? How did it affect my traveling schedule and my traveling plans? Well, where am I? I'm in Mexico, in the south of Mexico, the state of Yucatan. I believe this is one of the most beautiful places, not just in Mexico, but in the whole Latin America. That's Caribbean coast, really beautiful place, very warm, and I just love the seaside, the ocean, everything connected with the water. So I'm staying now in the little town called Progreso. It's a town of 20-30 kilometers from the capital of Yucatan, Merida. And I'm staying in a wonderful place, and I'm really thankful to my friends, Eduardo and Claudia, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much, friends. I'm staying just 100 meters from the beach. So now I have my little tradition. I go to watch the sunset, sometimes the sunrise, when I am able to wake up. So I feel pretty comfortable, and I feel really well in this time. Definitely, I miss the road. I miss riding. It's been 1 month and a half since I'm on quarantine. I'm not saying that I am bored, not at all, because I have a lot of things to do, actually. And you would not believe, but I'm busy since morning till night, and sometimes even till late at night. I'm catching up with my social media, writing blog, making videos for my YouTube channel. So please subscribe for fresh videos. And yeah, I'm reading. I'm catching up with my studies. Well, I will mention about that later. So I try to use this time as efficiently as possible and to stay as positive as possible as well. So I wish you the same too. About my traveling schedule, well, yeah, it was shattered completely, but I guess I'm not the only one in such situation. So I just try to take it easy, to take it positive, and just to be flexible and patient. Again, as I said, I'm not the only one. The whole world is on hold, kind of, and I'm just waiting for the time when I can get back on the road. It's difficult. It's really difficult to talk about traveling plans at the moment because, well, I don't know when the border will be open again. My plan from Mexico was to go back to United States and to go to Alaska this year. But as you know, like the weather corridor is quite narrow to go to Alaska. The best time to go there is July, August. So I'm running out of time actually, and I have another problem. I still don't have a visa to Canada. My appointment to a visa center was canceled because of this virus situation. So I'm still waiting for another appointment. I mean, when the visa center gets open again, nobody knows when it will happen. And then I still have to pass the whole mainland of USA and Canada. Anyway, I'm not so sure that I can get there this year, but again, I'm trying to be flexible and to go with the flow, just to leave from one day to another. And not to be upset if some of my plans don't happen or change. I think that one of the most important qualities of every traveler is flexibility and just, you know, to take the situation as it is and to move on based on that. So that's a quick update on where I am and what's going on. And let's go back maybe to very basic questions that many of you might be aware of, but that's just for my new followers. So where I'm from Ukraine, from the Eastern European bloc, and I'm from Kiev. That's the capital of Ukraine. That's where I was born. That's where I was raised and lived all my life. Until something happened and changed my life forever. So normally the next question that people ask me is, how did it happen? How did you start riding a motorcycle? Did somebody influence you or impress you? And, you know, I can tell you that I would like to know the answer to this question myself, because I don't know. Really, I don't know. Because normally how it happens, how you get on the bike, I mean, on how you get on riding the bike. Maybe you have a circle of friends and you get really impressed with that. Maybe you have family members or maybe a boyfriend. And that's how it normally starts. In my situation, it was completely different. I didn't have any friends who would be riding a motorcycle, no family members. I worked in the bank. I was just a normal, simple girl who didn't even think about motorcycles. It's not that I didn't like them. They just didn't exist in my circle, you know. And one day something like really strange happened. I don't remember how exactly it happened, you know, but I just remember that some crazy idea came into my mind that I'm interested about motorcycles. That would be cool to ride, or at least to try how it feels to be on the motorcycle, because I've never been a passenger actually. So I started to do a quick research, and then I started to talk with people in some forums, you know, and that's how I started to get familiar with this world of motorcycles. And I went to the motorcycle riding school because, as I mentioned, I didn't have any friends who would teach me to ride. And basically, that's how it started. First, I started to ride a very little Minsk motorcycle. It's a little Soviet motorcycle. And then my instructor told me that actually it's a good idea to continue your learning on your own motorcycle. So that's how I got my first motorcycle, which was Kawasaki Eliminator 125cc, really little one, very cute one. But it's it's like a first love, you know. And I fell in love with it, with the motorcycle and with the whole idea. Of course, I started to ride first in my city, then in my country, in Ukraine, then in the neighboring countries, and so on and so forth. And it was really great. And, I was getting more and more hungry, and every time I wanted to go further and for longer. Before this trip around the world, I made quite a few trips to other countries, but mostly in the European or Asian part of the world, I believe that my longest trip before this trip around the world started was to India. I spent there 4 months. I was riding a motorcycle that I rented there. It was Pulsar. And, it was completely different experiences. It was just overwhelming. And I realized that that's what I want to do. Nothing else. I just want to travel. I want to experience the road. I want to experience everything that the road can offer me. And when I was flying back from India to Ukraine, I already had a plan. It wasn't just a dream. It was already a plan that I will start preparing for the trip around the world, because that's what my dream was about. Not since childhood, no. But I think that since the time that I got familiar with the motorcycle. And it took me about 1.5 years to get prepared for this trip around the world. And here comes the next question. So how long I have been on the road? Well, if we are speaking like when did I start riding motorcycles in general? Yeah. So I got on my first bike in 2005. So that's basically when everything started. So it's almost 15 years ago. Wow. Oh my God. Yeah, but this trip around the world started in 2013 in July 27. This date is really important now for me, and I celebrate it just like my birthday, So yeah, I started from my country, from my city, and my initial plan was to travel 2 years, to make a circle around the world in 2 years and come back again to my country, to Ukraine, and then, well. But as you know, I'm still on the road. 2 years passed already, but I'm still traveling. Well, I will try to explain how it all happened. Okay, the next question is how many bikes did I change in this trip? Well, let's I'll comment what kind of bike I'm riding, because sometimes I receive these questions as well. So what is your bike that you're riding? So this is KTM Adventure 1190 of 2013. So that was the first generation of adventure bikes from KTM factory. So I was really lucky to get one of those first bikes. And I remember that when I received it from the factory, from the Austrian headquarters, and when I saw this bike in the Ukrainian KTM office, I was shocked. It was huge. Because the bike I was riding before, it was Kawasaki Vulcan 900. So that was my second bike, and it was much bigger than my first one. But still, it was a cruiser type. It was low-scented bike, and it was really easy to handle. And we traveled a lot with this bike to different countries, to Bulgaria, Turkey, Romania, to the Middle East, Syria, Jordan, Lebanon. I was very proud of my bike and of our travels together. But when this idea about traveling around the world came, I realized, or I thought at that time actually, that it would be a good idea to change the bike and to get some adventure bike. So at that time, I was sure that to travel around the world, you necessarily need a huge adventure bike, So that was my vision, and I got it. Actually, I got it. It was like another story. It was really difficult to convince the KTM factory to cooperate with me, but it happened, and that was, I would say, the first and one of the biggest victories in my preparation for this trip. And so we started. We started together in 2013, and we've been together since that time. I didn't change the bike. This bike is always with me. It has the name. And by the way, I know that most people's bikes are like females. Yeah, it's she. But my bike is he. I consider him as a male, and his name is Little Guy. It's just a really affectionate name. So and I treat this bike not just as a bike anymore. It's my friend. Well, you will understand what I mean. And when it happens that I have to send the bike overseas to another continent by boat or by airplane, I start to miss it. Like somebody very close to my heart. So yeah, and also I realized that this bike is actually my only stable thing in this trip, because everything changing, places, people. I meet a lot of people, a lot of nice people, but then I move on, and I'm not sure if I will ever see these people again, and that really hurts. So the only actually thing that accompanies me always is my motorcycle. So this is not just my vehicle. That's not only the means of my traveling, but this is my friend, and this is my family, I would say. So here comes the next question. So what does your family think about your traveling, and especially about your traveling for so long? Well, just let me tell you that my family is, well, on one hand, it's very small, but on the other hand, it's the biggest family in the world. I'll explain you. Well, if we are speaking about my personal family, I have only my aunts and cousins. My parents passed away already, and I'm the only child in the family. So I don't have brothers or sisters. I don't have children. Yeah, but talking about my aunts and cousins, we always keep in touch, and they're very supportive. They follow me also on my social media, so they know exactly where I am and what's going on. But we talk on the phone. And of course, the first question that I always receive, especially from one of my aunts, so will you come back soon? Can we wait for you this summer or this autumn, for example? And I always try to look for some kind of legitimate excuses why I will not come back maybe this summer or something like that. But I understand that they miss me a lot, and I miss them too. But I would like to accomplish my ideas, my traveling plans. As I mentioned, it's on one hand, my family is a little bit small, but on the other hand, my family is the biggest in the world, because I consider all the people and all the friends that I make along the road as my family. And I think that I have so many mothers in the whole world already. Like the ladies, the really nice ladies who pray for me, who we keep in touch with, and they're always asking me where I am, and they're very concerned about me. And it, I don't know, it gives my heart so nice feeling. I don't feel alone. I don't feel that, I'm just that that girl without parents, without brothers or sisters, without anybody, just roaming around the world. No, I don't feel like that. Actually, I feel like surrounded with a circle of angels, really. Because I feel that all those people that send me their good vibes, their good energy, they're just like my angels protecting me. And I'm very, very thankful to all of them, and to all of you. Wow, I didn't check the chat, and there are so many messages already. Thank you so much. Wow. Okay, but let me go quickly through these questions that I have in my notes, because they came first. So I guess that it's a polite way to go through all of them. And I'm just trying to keep up with the time. How many times did I come back home in this trip? I did not come back home to Ukraine or to any other place that I consider home in these years. So I started from Ukraine in 2013, and I've been traveling these 6 years and 10 months since that time. So there was not only once that I came back to Ukraine. I had a few friends visiting me from Ukraine in this period of time, not just from Ukraine, but from other countries as well. And also my aunt once came to see me, and also one of my cousins. So yeah, that's basically it. But I did not come back to Ukraine, and this is actually my idea to make like the whole trip continuously without any interruption, non-stop. And also, by the way, now I'm doing my second circle around the world. So I made the full circle, like the first circle, in 5 years, and in 2019, actually, I finished it kind of in Europe, but without coming back home in Ukraine. And then I realized that, okay, Anna, and what's next? So are you ready to finish, to come back, to stop? And I want to tell you one story. It's a kind of maybe mystic story. You know, this question was on my mind for a while, and I didn't feel really comfortable with that because I didn't know what to do and how to stop or to continue, or what shall I do? I was really confused in my mind. And you know, one day in my dream, when I was sleeping in my night dream, I saw myself coming back to Ukraine, and I remember very vividly my emotions and my feelings, and I felt so sad, and I felt so unhappy and discouraged that my trip is finished, that I stopped, that I came back, and I felt all the regret, you know, and all the remorse maybe that I did it, that I did not continue my travels. And actually, I woke up even, you know, wet with sweat, you know. And when I realized that it was just a dream, oh my God, I was so happy. And for me, that was the sign, actually. You know, I realized that that's what I feel inside of me. That's what my subconscious told me. It's not the time to stop yet. You have to continue. You have to move on. And for me, that was enough to make this decision to continue. And I decided to make the second circle around the world, going maybe, so first I went clockwise and now maybe anti-clockwise. And from Europe, I shipped my bike back to South America. And I continued my traveling, and I started my second circle around the world from South America. Actually, I can say that this is my favorite continent. So I'm really happy that I started with South America. So, and now I'm a little bit caught with the virus, and yeah, as I told you, my plan was to go up till Alaska, but let's see if it happens or not. Why second circle? Okay, I think I explained it already. Again, I would like to emphasize that because again, some people ask me, so when did the first circle ended? When did it finish? And when the second circle started? I would say that it's not two different journeys. This is one journey. Yeah, so it happened without any interruption. It was just continuous trip. Yeah. It's just in the first circle, I mean, I covered all the continents, I mean, except Antarctica. So now in the second circle, I just have to do them all again. Yeah. There's one question: will there be a follow-up book to your The World from My Bike book? Okay, so maybe some of you don't know, but a few years ago, I made my first book, which is actually more a photography book with short comments and short stories, and it's more like coffee table book in the big format. And well, I published it just myself, and it was very very expensive for me. So I printed only limited amount of copies, and I sold them out. So since that time, I could not afford to print more copies. So this project kind of is on hold at the moment. So the question was, do I plan to write another book? Actually, I do. Yes, I don't think that I will make like a follow-up of the previous book, but I would like to make like a real storybook with not so many photos, maybe, but like my story from the beginning until till the end of this trip. I mean, of this trip around the world. But in order to make this book, I have to finish the trip, right? So to know how it will be finished. So I think that that big project, that big book that I have in my mind, it will not happen before several more years. But also, I'm thinking about other books as well. I would like to write also another book for children. So it will be also my story, but in the form of a fairy tale, maybe. Well, I don't have the plot yet, but it's kind of it's in my mind because also, as you know, as many of you know, probably that I like to visit kids at schools, at the orphanages, and different like institutions with some motivation talks, telling about my travels, about my experiences, and that's something that I really like to do. And I would say that this is the highlight of my travels. So that's why I would like to contribute something also to this audience of children. And yeah, I hope that I will do that as well. Okay, so let's come to your questions from the chat. And I know I'm not the only person to give you items, and I know that many may be too large, heavy to take with you. Do you have a place to store them for the future? Yeah, thank you for your question. As you can imagine, traveling with the motorcycle, it's not easy to, you know, to collect the stuff. So I cannot buy souvenirs or, you know, something that I really like to. So I can buy all these things that I have to replace, like some clothes or, I mean, something that I really need for my traveling. And also very often because I meet so many people and I stay in so many places and so many houses, and people are so nice that they give me gifts. And of course, I I receive them because I appreciate that, and it's a polite way to say thank you. And I know that they give them these gifts from all their hearts, from the bottom of their hearts. But sometimes also I try to explain that I cannot take everything, or I cannot carry the heavy stuff or the big stuff. So sometimes I have actually to reject in a polite way. And sometimes I have to leave behind some of the packages with the things that I don't use anymore, for example. And actually, I have a few places like this in the whole world. And sometimes we make jokes with my friends that maybe I'll need to take another separate trip around the world to collect all my stuff. Sometimes I already don't remember where exactly, what exactly is located where. So it's a kind of confusing. I think that I have to write down everything. So with the time, I'm trying to more like to explain to people that I cannot carry like all the gifts that they give me, and I just try to explain that my biggest gift is the memories that we share together, and of course lots of photos, and yeah, just like that. Next question. How did you get your inspiration to travel the world on bike? Well, I think that I already answered this question, right? So it just came to me, and that's how I realized that, you know, we have to listen to our kind of intuition or our inner voice or whatever you can call it. Because I think that deep inside of us, we know answers to all the questions that we may have to ourselves. The problem is that sometimes we don't want maybe to, or we are not ready to listen to that voice, because sometimes it's very quiet, or sometimes it tells us something that we don't want to hear actually. And that's why we try to, you know, to push it down, and at some point it stops talking to ourselves. So that's why I would really encourage you just to listen to yourself more often and more carefully, and you will understand what is your dream about. and what do you need to do to make this dream happen. So just don't feel confused that you're just lost in this world. I think that we all have our personal mission in this life, on this planet, and we have to discover what kind of mission is that, and just to follow it, to follow our dream, our mission, again, whatever you may call it. And I really wish all of you, maybe some of you haven't discovered your mission in life yet, or your dream, but I really wish you that you will listen to your inner voice, and you will find the way, yeah, to make it accomplished. More question and a lot of nice comments. I'm very thankful to that. Question: all these years traveling with a heavy bike, please tell us about bad situations not filmed, and how did you handle them? Long time follow-up. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's really, there are different and difficult situations on the road, but actually I try to cover them all on my social media, maybe not in details, but anyway. And these difficult situations can be really like from different like angles. It's not just about heavy bike, even though that happens too, because the bike is heavy and I have a lot of luggage, even though I try to keep it to the minimum. But yeah, sometimes the bike falls. And what shall you do? I mean, if there is a help around, then it's one story, but if it's not, you know what? It happened to me just recently, a few months ago, when I was riding through Baja California. It's the peninsula, also in Mexico, in the north. And one day I took off-road section to my next destination. And well, I checked with the local people, and they said that it's fine, and it's kind of easy to handle. But well, it was not really easy, but well, it was okay. And when I was already like 10-15 kilometers from the main road, there started like a sandy section, very unexpectedly, and well, I dropped my bike. So the bike was lying in the sand, right? Nobody around, and well, at that day I was riding several hours already, and in those maybe 5 or 6 hours, I encountered just 2 vehicles, you know. So I didn't have much hope that I will get somebody to help me to lift up the bike immediately. So I unloaded everything, you know, to make it easier. And well, I was sitting and waiting 1 hour, nobody. 2 hours, nobody. I tried to, you know, to lift it, no chance. And the sun was going down already, so soon it was going to be dark, and I didn't know what to do. Shall I walk to the main road, 10-15 kilometers? But I didn't want to leave the bike behind. So I already even started to walk, but then I came back. So, and you know, I just realized that I just have to lift it up myself. There's no other choice. And you know what? I did it. For the first time in this trip, I lifted up my bike just by myself in the sand. So you have to imagine that it was like in the sand, and with some kind of inclination, you know. So I tried all the techniques that I watched on YouTube, different videos, you know. It didn't work. Didn't work anything to me. And then somehow, I don't know, maybe that was some kind of adrenaline or different ways, you know, to push it. But somehow after 30 or 40 minutes of trying, I lifted up the bike. You know, I could not believe that it actually happened. And I was so happy of that. And you know what, when I got on the bike and when I reached the main road and then I pulled over, you know, just to breathe in, to breathe out. And maybe 5 minutes later, there was the car coming exactly the same way. So they stopped next to me and the guys asked, are you okay? Do you need some help? And told them, no, I wish you went out so late. I wish you arrived like, I don't know, 30 or 40 minutes ago. So, you know, there are always like some kind of difficult situations, sometimes with the weather. Like my biggest nightmare in terms of weather is the wind. Oh my God. I think the wind is my worst enemy, and I don't know how to handle the bike, how to control it. And sometimes you just cannot predict the weather, because on one stretch of the road it's okay, it's calm, and then suddenly it just starts blowing, and you just have to decide what to do at the spot. Sometimes, yeah, there is a chance to stop and wait, but sometimes you're in the middle of nowhere and you have to reach your destination. So, whenever this difficult situation comes, you have to decide at the moment, at the spot, what to do. And again, it's a kind of follow-up of the previous, like my comments and my question, some of the questions that you have to listen to yourself and you will find the answer. Not just the answer about global things, about dreams or whatever, but even the answer about what to do at the moment, what kind of solution to find. So just think to yourself, think to your mind, and you will find the answer. And sometimes it will be just absolutely unexpected, and sometimes you will realize that the solution and the help, the answer comes from absolutely unexpected direction, that you would not be able to imagine even. But there is always a solution. In all these years on the road, there was no problem that would not be resolved. Maybe not in the way that I would have imagined, in a different way, and most of the times this is even the better way that I imagined before. So I would suggest you, if you're thinking about traveling, about adventure, don't think immediately about difficult or heavy things to happen. They will happen. There's no doubt about that. But may it not stop you from starting that adventure, starting traveling, or just any passion that you would like to start. Because it will not be easy. It's never easy, but it's really worthwhile. And I can tell you that since I started my trip, I've never felt happier. I think that was really a correct decision to do. Okay. What drives you to keep going? It's a good question, and it's kind of, I don't know, it seems easy, but it's at the same time, it's very difficult because there is no kind of one answer. What drives me to keep going? Again, I'm just listening to my heart, and it tells me that I don't want to stop at the moment, One of my favorite movies, which one? We just recently talked with Eduardo, with my friends who host me in this house. Forrest Gump. Do you remember this character? How he started running? Yeah, and he has been running for 3 years, even more, and many people have been following him or running together with him. And many people ask him, so why are you doing this? Are you raising awareness of something, or are you doing it to support some projects? And do you remember his answer? He said, no, I just like running. So in my case, it's the same. I just like traveling, and I just like riding my bike. That's the only reason. There are no like huge huge projects or things in my mind. I'm just doing what I like to do. And do you remember when he stopped running? So just at some point he realized that, okay, it's enough. So he turned back and he went back home. So I'm waiting for the same moment when I will feel inside of me that it's time to stop. It's time to, I don't know, maybe to go back to Ukraine or to settle down in some other country. I don't know, really, I don't know, but sometimes I really miss this feeling of belonging to some place, to some house. And now that I'm staying in this house for more than a month, I enjoy this feeling, to wake up in the same bed, to cook in the same kitchen, to have a walk to the beach and to see the sunset at the same place. It's a great feeling. I mean, I like traveling, but also I like to stay at one place, maybe not for so long. And I'm getting kind of a little bit anxious to be back on the road. But I'm sure that when this part of my life or this journey around the world will finish for a while, I will enjoy my time of staying in some house. The only thing that I really hope, and I will try to make it happen, I really want to stay next to the water, next to the seaside, because like right now I am getting addicted to have a walk on the beach every day, to see the sunset, to hear the sound of the waves. That's really cool. Okay, and the next question that I can see already. What is the current mileage on your little guy? I will answer this question because maybe it's one of the most asked questions, which also I don't like to answer. I will explain you why also. Well, I will tell you the mileage on my bike is about 220,000 kilometers. And I will try to explain why I don't like this this question, because always when people ask this question, they always have the answer in their mind. Yeah, so they have some assumptions. What will I answer? Yeah, and some people when they hear the number, they think, wow, that's so much. And some people, on the other hand, they say, I thought it would be much more in 6 years. Why so little? You know. So people make assumptions on the base of their kind of ideas about my trip, and I always tell them that, look, my trip, my travel is not about just riding and covering the mileage, right? There's so much more behind traveling. It is discovering places, it's meeting people, it's staying at one place maybe for a few days, just to feel the atmosphere, you know. And again, different things can happen. Like right now, I would have never imagined that I would stay in one place in Mexico for 1 month and a half, and still I don't know how much longer I will stay, you know. So this kind of like circumstances, like to combine together, and you will understand that it's not that every day you are covering, I don't know, 500 kilometers or 1,000 or more. It's more like a race, and my travel, my journey is not about race at all. For me, it's more like probably my spiritual journey, because I'm trying to discover inside of me something that I haven't known of before. You know, to learn something new, to change myself in some ways, to learn new skills. And for all that, you need time. I think that nowadays we start to understand this like never before. This time of quarantine, it just helps us and it motivates us really to kind of to reinvest ourselves and our inner world, to reevaluate our priorities in life, to discover maybe our hidden dreams that we haven't known of before. So I really believe that this situation is a kind of is for our benefit. Of course, I feel very sorry for the people who are affected by the virus physically themselves or their family members. But I mean, that for the rest of us who are just staying in house and waiting for this time of quarantine to pass, I'm pretty sure that we can use this time efficiently, mostly for our personal growth, personal development. So for me, it's the same about traveling. For me, this is the opportunity, first of all, for my personal growth and not for the mileage to cover. Okay, I'm sorry for this very wide answer to this simple question. Is he your best friend? Talking about motorcycles. Well, yes, I would say that he is one of my best friends because, well, I have many friends in the whole world, and I would consider some of them as my best friends. And definitely my motorcycle is one of them. And sometimes I talk to him, and sometimes I even feel that he supports me in some difficult situations. Like, for example, when there is a very windy day, like this with very strong wind, I always talk to the bike, please hold on, just don't fall down, we'll make it. And you know, somehow I just feel that he listens to me and he helps me, he supports me in every way possible. More questions. I'm getting lost a little bit. Yeah, just there are questions and there are comments, you know, so I'm trying to look for the questions. Okay. Could you convert your first book into an ebook? Thanks for your question. And actually, I've been receiving this question once in a while. As I mentioned, this is a photography book. It's more like coffee table book, right? And I think that it's not really the suitable format for the ebook, right? So this kind of book you just want to hold in your hands and, you know, to pass through from one page to another page, hold it in your hands, like hard copy. So I think it's not really for the ebook, but I will consider this option. Why not? Definitely when I think that when not if. When I will write my next book or next books, I will consider both published version and electronic version. So I will definitely keep you updated about everything. I'll tell you something. When you are on the road, it's really, really difficult to write a book, because there are so many things that you can handle, and sometimes I even don't have time to keep up with my social media, even to write a simple Facebook post. Because normally, I have to add like photos from the area. I have to edit them. I have to select them. I have to write a text, and normally it takes me at least 2 hours, 1-2 hours. And then now I'm trying to do more videos. Again, I'm doing them myself. I'm not a professional. It takes a lot of time. Also, I have to write a blog. So there's no time at all for writing a book. And when I was doing my previous book, that was a lot of stress, And also I had some deadlines in terms of, dates to pass the book for publishing, etc., etc. And it's been more stress than enjoyment, and sometimes you just don't have inspiration, You have to wait for it, but you don't have time to wait for it. So that's why I'm not in a hurry to start my next book, because I want to enjoy from the process of writing. So we'll see. We'll see about my next books, what kind of format it will take. Yeah, let's see. More questions. Do you plan to take another trip on the same the road for more than 6 years? Non-stop. Yeah. I've had a few issues already, not really serious ones, but I would like to try other bikes as well. So I will definitely keep this bike for myself, maybe in my personal museum somewhere. So I will never sell it, even if I will receive $100 million. No, I'm honest about it. This is my friends, and friends are not for sale. So this bike will stay with me forever, and maybe we will do some shorter trips, but probably I will plan my other big trips with some other bikes, maybe some other models of KTM. Actually, right now, I'm very interested in that new model of KTM 790, and we've been discussing it with my other KTM friends. And everybody is very positive and very excited about this new bike, and I'm very excited to try it as well. Something tells me that I will like it. It's much lighter, it's easier, and there's a good fuel consumption. So and it's good for off-road, and yeah. So I'm very positive to get this bike afterwards, after a while. But as to this trip, and to this second circle, I would like to finish it with the same bike that I started with. So this is the whole idea. Yeah, one bike, one woman. I'm not accompanied by anybody, so I have to travel solo and without interruption. So this is continuous trip. It's not going back and forth home and etc. And what else? Yeah, so that's basically it. That's my kind of personal requirements for and criteria for this trip. I've been okay. Just wondering, have you ever thought of visiting Pakistan? I think that Pakistan is on the top list of the countries that has been advised or recommended to me for traveling. I received so many people from, messages from people from Pakistan inviting me to come and visit. Well, from what I learned already from other travelers and from these messages is that Pakistan is very open for tourism, and they're very excited to receive tourists, and they're very welcoming people. So definitely, yes, I'm considering to visit this country, and not just Pakistan, but other countries around it as well in that part of the world. I don't know when it happened, honestly, because again, as you know, and as I mentioned now, I try not to have like strict plans, right? because if it doesn't happen, then you don't feel so discouraged. So I go with the flow, and even when I finish this trip around the world, I will not stop traveling. I think that till the end of my life. There are still so many places to visit, and even when you've been to some place and then you come back the next year or after a few years, it's not the same place anymore. You discover new things, and you're a different person, so you take it from a different perspective, you know. So also one funny question that I've been asked, like sometimes. So when you finish your trip and you've seen everything, so what shall you do? There will be nothing else to see. And I tell them, you know what? It will never happen. There will always be something to see, and even when you come back to the same place, you will see it differently. So I think that the more I travel, the more I get, again, more and more hungry and thirsty. So if at some point before in my past I thought that, okay, I will stop traveling and maybe settle down forever somewhere, now I think that I will never stop traveling. I may stop this trip around the world. I may get some little house at the seaside, maybe, or in the mountains, you never know. But I will continue traveling again, maybe for shorter distance, for shorter time. Then maybe I can come back again to my house and continue traveling. So maybe I will travel not just necessarily on the motorcycle. Maybe I will travel on 4x4. Maybe I will sail. You know, I'm getting curious about many things that I was not interested before. Like, for example, now I'm very interested to learn diving and skiing, maybe climbing. You know, so many things that I think that my life will not be enough to see everything and to learn everything I know. And I'm very excited about it. I'm very happy to discover this inside of myself, this kind of this hunger, this thirst for more. So yeah, I mean, you cannot be bored in your life. I mean, it's so interesting, and there's so many things to offer. You're very brave. Did you have a moment when you were afraid? Oh, so many moments, really, really. I think it's very normal to be scared. It's, another thing is what you do with your fear. Do you let it stop you, or do you overcome it? Do you walk towards your fear, you know, and make it your friend or your companion? You know, as I told you, I'm very scared of the wind. So when I see that the wind is coming, or when I feel it on my bike, there's always everything inside of me is a kind of shrinks, you know, and I start to pray to God. I start to talk to my bike, or please help me, or sometimes different difficult stretches of the road, or some situations. Yeah, I'm scared very often, not just once or twice, but it happens regularly. And just recently, when I was in Brazil, I took that ghost road. It's an Amazonian jungle. And well, I heard so many dreadful stories about it, you know, that I was really, really scared to go, even though I didn't have to go, and it wasn't in my initial plans. But then somehow I felt this kind of urge inside of me that I have to go. And even when I started writing it, I was sometimes I was even shivering, you know. And but I made it, and even up till now, I consider that it was like one of the most meaningful maybe parts of my journey in that spiritual sense. Yes, I made it through. I mean, I covered all the roads, everything was fine. But for me, it was more like my personal growth. And I think that I changed a little bit. I learned more about myself. So again, the fear is a good thing. Sometimes it helps you not to do something really stupid. Yeah. But again, it's all the matter of how you take this fear and what you do with this fear. I would suggest you to just to analyze it, and just to try to learn what it wants to teach you, and I mean to act, to go towards your fear, but knowing your limits as well. But I think it's it's a topic for discussion for another live stream at least. Actually, you know what? There are many more questions, and I'm afraid that only 5 minutes left. So you know what? It was my first live stream, but I guess and I hope that it will not be the last, and maybe we will do it regularly. So I would like to hear your comments through this chat or through the personal messages on Facebook or wherever. So I would like to hear your suggestions, your comments, again, more of your questions. If you want to do more live streams, maybe on some specific topics, because this one was like about everything. But sometimes when it's about everything, it's about nothing like specifically, right? Like, for example, when we are talking about fear, maybe I can talk about an extra hour about that. So please let me know what you are more interested in, and in which format you would want to have this kind of live streams. Or maybe it's a good idea for me to make like separate videos with explaining some parts of my journey. I don't know. I'm just trying to get kind of new skills and to add some more maybe features into my journey and into presentation of my journey. Yeah, 4 minutes left. I want to tell you that I really enjoyed this live stream, and I'm happy that it went without any interruption from the internet connection side. And I'm happy for your presence, that you took this time to listen to me and to talk to me. And I don't read all the comments and all the questions, but I can see that all of them are so positive, and I can feel this positive vibe from you and positive atmosphere. And I really hope that you are safe wherever you are, and I wish you to stay safe. And very important, I wish you to stay positive. Well, we have different like circumstances at this time. For some, it's just okay, staying at home for a few, I don't know, weeks, months. For some, it's a loss of job or some other like more dramatic consequences. I understand it all, and I can see it also from the Mexican people. I mean, for many of them, to stay at home would mean just to be hungry, right? Because it's their everyday routine to get some more pesos, you know, selling tacos, something like that. So if they stay at home, they have nothing to eat, and I understand it perfectly. But I really hope that all of us can become stronger from the situation, and when everything is over and we can go out and travel, we will also be different people, and most importantly, better people. And yeah, I'm really thankful to you for your questions. They are really, really interesting, and I'm sorry that I didn't answer all of them. Well, because of the time limit, and at the beginning I was a little bit scared. What if there are no questions at all, and what if there are no people? But well, you see, it was another of my fears. But I am so happy that it was just a fear and it didn't come to a reality. 1 more minute left. I don't want to say goodbye. You know, if you ask me what is the hardest thing in my trip, I would tell you that one of the hardest things is to say goodbye to people that I meet along the way. Like one of you mentioned in one of the comments that how you deal with that when you say goodbye to people who maybe you will never meet again. And this is my fear, actually. But I always have a hope inside of me that actually we will meet again, you know. And sometimes it happens, actually. Sometimes I do come back to some places, you know, that I visited, like, I don't know, a month ago, or even now I'm in Mexico for the second time in my second trip around the world. And actually I catch up again with some of the friends that I met 5 years ago. And it's absolutely amazing experience, you know, to see their children growing like 5 years later. They're not kids anymore, they're teenagers, you know. And that's why I really enjoy the second circle, because it's much deeper. It's I don't know, I know myself better. I know what I want, and yeah, but again, I can talk about it in my next live stream. Again, a few seconds left. I'm saying goodbye, but I'm saying goodbye till our next chat in the live stream or in any other form. Stay safe, stay positive. I love you all. Bye bye.